As we head into the election season, I want to assure this committee and the American public that the Postal Service is fully capable and committed to delivering the nation's election mail securely and on time.
The political battle over the post office and vote by mail heating up. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy grilled by Senate Democrats in an online hearing on Friday. DeJoy under scrutiny and forced to hold off cost-cutting measures after the post office was caught on camera removing mailboxes and high-speed sorting machines. This is an unprecedented number of Americans prepared to vote by mail. DeJoy, a Trump donor with no postal experience, insists many of the changes were routine and approved before he took office. Well, it's been a hot button issue during the pandemic, and it is ramped up for this election cycle with the vote by mail controversy. Can we trust that our vote will be delivered on time by mail, or will it be tampered with? Let's welcome back our panel for the week, Ricardo Franco and William Bordeaux. And William, again, I'll begin with you here. The California DNC chair says vote by mail is secure, no voter fraud. The state Republican chair, well, disagrees. What's your take on it? Can we trust it?
Well, I would encourage all Americans that are allowed to vote and can legally vote should vote. But we also need to make sure that we prevent people that aren't allowed or shouldn't be voting to vote. And our experience with this last election, that we had ballot harvesting, which was it's only legal in California, and we've seen the consequences which happens with that. And I believe that things most likely were unethical and illegal as it relates to ballot harvesting. So it's just more of the same.
Ricardo, we'll come to you. Ballot harvesting, obviously that's a big subject for the Republican Party. It happened in the congressional race, according to David Valadao against TJ Cox. Do you believe in that? Is there ballot harvesting going on? And number two, what do you make of the vote by mail? Is it secure enough, as many Democrats believe it is?
It's secure. Look, most Republicans vote by mail. The last time there was voter fraud found in this country, it was in a Republican race for Congress out on the East Coast. And as far as ballot harvesting goes, Republicans can't even say what is wrong with ballot harvesting, if they even know what it is. The law in the state of California allows any signed and sealed ballot to be delivered to the ballot box or put into the mail by anybody else, just as you would have somebody else or a family member help you put your own bills into the mail. But this is, again, a tactic that we see constantly from the right. They claim that there's something wrong with the voting system when there isn't, when they know that they cannot win these elections fair and square.
Well, wait, are you saying there's no voter fraud completely? Nobody's stealing mailboxes, nobody's taking mail out of people's mailboxes, and they don't have anybody hiding out waiting for those ballots to be delivered to take those ballots? Are you saying that there's nothing like that? I mean, because we saw a computer hack, obviously, with the 2016 election. Why do we think vote by mail is so secure?
We see, no, don't get me wrong, we see people tampering with stuff all the time, especially down in the 21st Congressional District and in the southern parts of the Central Valley. Each county clerk is in charge of their own domains on how they do this, and they each face their own individual attacks on this. But I have all confidence and faith within our county clerks to verify these ballots. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ballots every election that get challenged and disqualified. And sadly, most voters don't know about that and know that if there's a no signature match on their ballot, they can go back and correct that. So I'm sorry, David Valadao, but the Democratic Party followed up on that in the legal way to have those ballots counted just to get the signatures to match. There's nothing fraudulent about that. It's just correcting a mistake.
William, what's your response to that? And then obviously, as a Trump delegate, do you think he'll accept the results if he loses?
I absolutely think he'll accept the results. But when it comes to voting, I encourage all Americans to vote, but we need to make sure it's done legally. And in this day and age, we should be able to verify that in some way to prevent waste, fraud, and abuse across all of our government. And we can do better.
All right, I want to move on to the RNC convention this week. Obviously, President Trump pretty unpredictable when it comes to what, you know, I feel like it's going to be a reality show of sorts. What is going to be the counterpunch to what Biden and the DNC did. And William, I'll begin with you. What do you expect to see, especially virtually? And then President Trump promises something at the White House.
Well, I'm sure they're going to talk about what the president has done and will continue to do. Revive the economy, rebuild the military, strengthen the constitutional liberties of all Americans.
Ricardo, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't want to hear anything about the president rebuilding the military or having respect for veterans when he won't bring back deported veterans, and he won't stand up to Putin when he puts bounties on the heads of our active service members. That being said, the president is the president. The virtual convention being what it is, which is a new endeavor for everybody, that's going to give him an immense platform to speak from the White House. But above all, from the RNC, what I would hope to see is the safety precautions and measures of social distancing that we saw from the DNC. My understanding is that there will be some in-person component to it, and I hope that they adhere to all guidelines set forth by public health officials to keep everybody safe.
Well, it's going to be an interesting 3+ months as we head towards election night, November 3rd. Guys, William Bordeaux, Ricardo Franco, we appreciate your time here on Sunday Morning Matters.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.